To be honest, we really do believe in working in there with the agency and talking to them. But we're not really talking to the support team itself, you know, the carers, the people who come in. We really are only talking to the management, and I'm not sure that the management has got the organisation or the structure below it to get that message through to the carers themselves. And I think some of that message is lost in translation, sort of handed down from one person to the other. And there's stuff that really bothers me. We had a meeting last Friday, and I had to highlight the fact, because Gary wears these sizes, which are important to keep him upright and keep his hip settled. But for some reason, somebody decided in their infinite wisdom to alter what's been laid down for the donkey's years that we've had these sizes, which is which way and what order to put Gary's legs in. Because we've had this problem now with his hip. We've got a real problem with Gary's hip. I'm thinking, well, why have we got this problem all of a sudden with the hip? And I worked it out. It's because they've decided to put the left leg in first instead of the right leg. So the right leg's twisting in the sizes. And I mean, in fairness, as soon as we brought that to the management attention, they took immediate action. But it's the sort of thing that leaves me worried, and I'm not sure whether us going via the management all the time is working. But I just don't think we've got that relationship with the carers themselves. It's a good agent, you know. It's a great reputation, this agency. The care manager, the woman at the local authority, recommended them to us. But he's a really complex person, Gary, and I think with individual budgets as well, he's their first person that they're giving a service to who's got an individual budget. And because it's all new, it's all the concept that we are the customers, or that Gary is the customer. I just don't think the people who come in and provide the support, I don't think they get the hang of that, the staff. I expect if we ask the support workers, who do you think pays the bills? Who pays your wages? Then they'd say, oh, social services. I bet. I mean, I've never asked them, but if we asked them, I bet you they would. I bet they don't realise that Gary pays their wages. There is definite mistrust between me and my husband and the staff. I turned up here one afternoon at 3:30, and hello, I've got 2 support workers making a cup of tea. Another service user, who we didn't really know very well, was lying on my son's settee, and my son was sat in front of the telly, bawling his head off because he'd filled his pads and he needed changing. And they were chit-chatting, and I walked in and said, oh, it's all right, I'll change him, and took him to the bedroom and changed him because he's filled his pads, and they were more concerned about making themselves a cup of tea. And some other service user lying on my son's settee that the other person happened to be looking after at the same time. And it's things like that you really do think, what the hell's going on here? I think we might have got the wrong staff. We've got staff who don't only support Gary but other people too. And those people might not have an individual budget. Now, I'm not saying that Gary deserves any sort of special treatment, but it's different with an individual budget, or it should be. You've got to be more individual in how you support and care for somebody. But because they work in other services, I think they see it as the same. I think they see Gary just as, oh, you know, he's my late shift that day. We need people that can drive, and some of his team can't drive. 2 out of the 5 can't drive. 2 don't have licences, so they don't drive. And another one does have a licence, but she's frightened to death. I think, when was the last time she drove his vehicle? October. Yeah, was the last time she drove his vehicle. So half the time there's no driver on. And Gary's paying for half the week for that vehicle to sit on the drive. £50 a week out of his mobility goes towards that vehicle. It's a specially adapted vehicle that goes towards Gary's needs and what have you, and it sits on that drive, and that really gets to me. The other day, this was a real issue. What most 25 or 26-year-olds do, isn't it, is come over to your mum and dad's, and they pop over and they do your washing, or they ask you what's for lunch. My daughter is at university. The first thing she says to me on a Friday night when she comes home is, what's for tea, mum? So I'd expect them to support Gary in that way, bring him to come and see mum and dad, take him to the pub to meet mum and dad, or come home. But unless we organise it, it doesn't happen. And we organised it the other day, and I was really, really looking forward to it, and Gary was really, really looking forward to it. And they didn't have a driver on. And I was gutted. they've not properly matched the staff with Gary. I said to them in the beginning, I said, you need a self-managing team, right? Because one of the things, you know, to me, if you've got 5 or 6 people looking after Gary and somebody says, oh, I need to go home Tuesday night, I'm sick, then somebody else will say, well, we'll do Tuesday night, and that they'd sort it out themselves. That's really important. But so what they do is they send me their rota at the beginning of each month, and I send it back and say, no, that's wrong, because we've told you that we're doing that with Gary on that day, and we're doing that on that day, and they've got it all wrong. And I just think, because we do, you know, if we're supporting Gary on Wednesday night, for example, then there's no point putting another member of staff on us, and we don't want to pay. We don't want to pay for somebody to come in and support him if we're doing it ourselves. But the communication's rubbish. That never really gets sorted. When I think if we had a team that was dedicated to Gary, a self-managing team, where that they talk to us, they know what we're doing, and we know what they're doing, then I think that would, well, I'm sure that would work better. When they were choosing their staff, no, we weren't really involved in that. Not properly, I don't think. I did send them a training matrix, listed everything that we wanted, either as essential or non-essential or desired. And the essential stuff was things like epilepsy training and giving drugs and, you know, things to keep people safe. That's important. But they do struggle, and they just can't get the staff right, I don't think. I don't know if they're paying enough to get the right staff. I mean, we pay them, the agency that is, $14.50 an hour, and I think they pay their staff £7 an hour. That's quite a difference. Mind you, they pay all their holidays and sick pay and maternity benefits and bank holidays and all of that, and and the travel as well. We don't pay the travel, so they've got a lot of extra costs, but that's still quite a gap. I don't want qualified people necessarily. An MVQ isn't worth anything to me. It's the rapport that the person has with Gary. That's what's important to me. As Gary's mum, I want somebody who comes in, speaks to Gary, touches him, wipes his dribble, talks to him. What are we going to do this afternoon? Ben, come on, let's go out and do this. Let's go out and watch football or you know, something like that. But at the moment, if I got here and they'd come back and the wheelchair's covered in football marks and he's covered in mud from head to foot, and I've got dirty football boots in the hall and stud marks all over the carpet, and well, then I'd probably be up in arms. I've got a bit of a thing when it comes to keeping the house tidy. My husband thinks I'm really unreasonable about it, but I don't. Maybe it's just a mother thing.